friends, my name is Danny and welcome to my first video. As I am recording this, I am so excited that it's the first day of spring and I wanted to draw something that kind of had that fun, light spring energy. So as you can see, I am using a kind of like western-y reference picture, which I will include on the screen here and also in the video's description. I like this picture specifically because it has a lot of very well-defined shapes, and for this character in particular, I really like to play with like very harsh angles, and I don't like to make things look too round, so I tried to, like in my sketch, really emphasize angles of, like, you can see here the nose and the ears and eventually like the jacket as well, and I tried to make things look as sharp as possible, and then I later will contrast that with a more rounded background. So here is my, oh, never mind, just kidding. Here is my second least favorite part of the process, right behind erasing my entire sketch and then hoping that it stays enough for me to color it in. But right now I'm just kind of trying to pose the hand and drawing a little cigarette, which is going to be so much fun to color in because I love doing the little smoke, but that is sadly the last step and I have to get through the line art and everything first. Also, not to endorse smoking, but it does make for some very, very cool art designs. Now, sadly, after I create a sketch that I'm actually very proud of, I get to erase all of it and just hope I can recreate it with my colors. So for this project, I'm going to be going in with my RTX markers. I believe this is the 92 set, which I thankfully swatched for myself earlier this morning actually. And I'm just going to be picking out a couple colors that I think will work for the skin, and I'm kind of vaguely referencing a painting that I've made previously for this, so I don't have to like color match every color. I kind of have a vague idea of what I want, but I'm still kind of figuring out how I need to layer all of these and like do kind of like color blocky shading instead of blending. And so having that swatch sheet actually is very, very helpful for me to kind of get a grip of the type of illustration I want to make before I actually start rendering. Now you can see that I'm kind of just building up layers to create depth in the skin, and I am kind of going over with the same base layer that I had previously used, because I lightened it up with a very, very thin, almost white but kind of creamy marker. Now I'm going to be adding my first layer of line art. When I use these RTX markers, I kind of like to build my line art up light to dark, and I will add in my base liner, and then in any spots that look like they kind of need to have more of a shadow, I'll go in with a slightly darker color and just hope that it kind of makes a nice little overlay, less opaque version of the base line art color. And now I'm finally starting the hair. I literally think this is the prettiest thing because I ended up lining it with a lighter color than the actual hair color, and I just think it's so charming and unique. I don't know, it's not anything too special, but it's special to me. Also, I totally forgot, but I wanted to say that I drew the hand facing the wrong way. So we're just gonna pretend like that's not that way. I'm glad that I've said that 6 minutes into the video and now no one's gonna be able to unsee it, but I realized that when I was doing the voiceover, and I can't change it now, so yeah. I think throughout the time that I've been using them, and especially throughout the time I spent on this drawing in particular, that the only real issue that I have with the RTX markers is that a lot of them feel like they dry a lot darker than they are noted, or than what their cap resembles. And I think they tried to fix that a little bit with the labeling. The sticker that you have to put on yourself feels darker a lot of the time, but it still doesn't really do it justice to the color. So with my Copics, there are some issues with that, but I tend to have a better idea of what colors to use for what just by looking at the marker. But for this, the swatching is really important, I think, because a lot of the colors just don't look like you think they do. And that's not to say that the colors aren't beautiful, because they are, but just some of them don't perfectly resemble what you think they're gonna look like. Another factor though that does play into this is that this paper is not made for markers, especially not for acrylic markers, so that totally could play a really big role in why they're turning out the way that they do. I haven't tried them on my Ilio sketchbook yet, or Illo, I think it's Illo, not Ilio. But I haven't tried them on that sketchbook yet, but I have used them on 2 different types of paper, and I found that they kind of work the same way on each so far, but maybe it's the type of paper that I'm using and less so the colors, but I don't know. But now you can see that I'm moving on to the jacket, and I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. I kind of layered a grayish kind of warm toned color over the blue, which kind of dulled it down a lot and made it look a little bit more worn. And then I went in with a less opaque color to add some highlights over everything, and it just kind of came out with this like really cool, it's like very clearly not, but I almost want to say geometrical kind of look to it, and I just think it's really nice, and the line art made it pop so beautifully. I just am a very big fan of how this turned out. Alright, so now my character is like just about finished, and we are going to start working on the background. Now, just like for the character, I'm going to be doing the background in like a number of different layers, starting out with my least opaque color just to get like almost in Procreate when you have the background of like the canvas. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Or in like any other medium, just doing like a wash of color underneath your painting and stuff like that, because I want if there's any like gaps in my strokes when I'm drawing, I want this color to come through, and it just works out because this color doesn't really lay on top of any other color super well, so it's really good to use just as like a little subtle background color. Although I'm not sure how well this translates on video, I think that this color in particular is a great example of like how the colors will like lay down a lot lighter than they dry. You can see as I'm filling it in that like it's changing colors like significantly from almost being the same color as the background layer that I have to being like this much darker color, and it's like not something that you would really realize until you're already like, keep in mind that this is sped up, so like you're watching it dry a lot faster than I was when I was drawing it. This color that I'm using right now is kind of the same thing, where like you'd be halfway done with your painting and then the colors would be different, and I'm like, I don't know, kind of shocked by that a little bit, just because doing like normal painting doesn't work that way. It must be something in the pigments in these markers that oxidize or something. I don't know what I'm saying whatsoever, but yeah, I just think that's something you have to keep in mind and work around like while you're planning out your pictures. It's always good to swatch. Closer to the beginning, I said that I was going to kind of juxtapose the harsh figure with this kind of soft, more rounded background, and that's what I'm doing here. Just going in, adding layers of hills to kind of build out a little scene for them, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I think the colors I chose were just perfect. Okay, this is like my favorite part of the entire process of this drawing, is doing this cute little outline for it. I just think it tied everything together so well. And of course, last but not least, we have to add the cigarette smoke. Like, okay, go off, metallic queen. And that just about wraps us up for this video. Here is the final drawing. I'm so happy with how she turned out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed every single painstaking minute of me trying to make a draw with me video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much. Bye!